Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're at. So today I wanted to give you a breakdown of my FX30 build, everything that I used on it recently on a couple of the short films I worked on. I was a camera operator and assistant camera for. This rig I think is becoming pretty standard. I don't think I have anything too out of the ordinary except maybe the Tilta power handle, and I have that in it, Tilta control handle. And I have that in very specific use cases, especially for this past shoot. But again, I just want to give you guys a breakdown of it. I feel like I had a couple people ask, so might as well. So first things first, I have the FX30 body with the new small rig Hawklock camera body cage. I couldn't use the top rail that it initially came with because it's meant for the XLR handle extension, and I don't actually have that, and so I didn't really feel the need for it. So I had a newer cage before that, so I still use the top rails from that. In order to put all of this on, I have a 3/16 Allen key and a 5/32 Allen key, and then anything else that I don't have or need, I use this new small rig Film Riot key, which I love, except I bought it last week or 2 weeks ago, and the first time I was using it, I was cranking down on something and one of the key snapped. So yeah, I mean, like, I would say you get what you pay for, but I paid like 40 bucks for this, so that kind of sucks. I'm honestly just don't have it in me to go return it. So, and I don't really use a H2 width that much, so I'm just gonna keep it like this, is whatever. Okay, so we have this body. First things first, I am gonna take out the LCD because I always forget to, and we're gonna try to put this into our Cineback. So if you haven't seen the Cineback, it's done by Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter. He retired from YouTube a couple of years ago, or earlier last year? I think earlier last year. But he started focusing on creating these kind of camera backs for DSLR and mirrorless bodies. And they're awesome. They give you the multiple D-tap ports and a shut-off switch if you need. And they just kind of give you more of a stable base to build off of. So again, flip your screen out because it's going to lay in the side here. Flip it the other way. And then all we're going to do is slide this in the top like that. And then there will be 2 holes on top for your mounting and 1 on the bottom. I have already ran a D-tap to DC 12 volt cable through this because that's what I use to power my monitor. I didn't want to take it apart because it's that one's kind of a pain in the neck to get in there because there's, again, it has that H2 that I busted. This is what I was doing. So I think these take the 3/16, so I'm just going to slightly place these in the top. All right, nice and gentle, just to get the camera sated, and then I'm going to close my LCD screen to slide it in there so it's safe. All right, so now we're going to flip it to the bottom. This one takes a 1/4 screw. I originally was using a fully threaded, I think I could pull it over here, a fully threaded screw, but because I don't know what I did with the screw that it came with. But problem with that is, and actually it might have even come with this one, problem with that is I don't feel like it seats right with the fully threaded. So just the bottom portion being threaded kind of helps all this part make contact, and it keeps it down, battened down nice and tight. So just screw that on, get that nice and tight. I like to make sure this one's in first, just because this one will, because there's only 1 screw on the bottom, it'll rotate if you're not careful. So again, I like to make sure it's nice and flat, and then I'll tighten this one down. And then once I don't think that's gonna move, I'll go back and I'll tighten the top. So now that we have the body in the Cineback, you'll probably see these little clips around my camera. These are the Condor Blue Mondoties. These are just great to run cables any way you need. In fact, the cinematographer from the first short film I worked on, he hadn't seen them before. He kind of liked them, so I think he ended up picking up some, just because they do what they need to do, get cables out of your way, and no one likes a rig that's ugly with cables. I like, at the very least, I like to try to keep my things as clean as possible. So now I already pre-install those just because, again, I don't really want to take them off. Next, we're going to install a Nato rail up top. I like to do this not directly in the back because it kind of gets in the way of the V-mount, just because I don't have like a red style right angle handle. I have the small rig one that put it right here that kicks out in the back, so it'll get in the way of the V-mount if I push this too far back. So I like to do it the next set of screws available, and I'll just try to center this as best as possible. And again, if you have them, use screws that are partially threaded as opposed to fully, just because those ones I've always had trouble with twisting and or coming out. Next, I'll usually just put my handle on, or sometimes I'll get my monitor mount first. It depends. I will say I've been having trouble with my monitor mount recently. It's been coming loose because, again, that same issue where it's only threaded and it's not, there's no gap in it, so like it just doesn't seat right. So that one, I like to put this, I think it's a small rig or articulating arm. Tilta also sells the same thing. I think theirs comes in quarter to quarter mount. This one is quarter to 3/8. This is just so I have some maneuverability with my monitor, get it out of the way if I need it. I'll put prices and all the items down below. I think this arm runs about 30. See, it's a little wiggly. Don't like that, so I'm actually gonna grab wrenches. It's a little smaller, so I can fit it in there. I don't really mind if this snaps, because again, like, I bought this kit for that reason. And that shouldn't move. Yeah. On the end of this, I actually have the small rig Hawklocks. Now, I actually don't like these all that much. I love how quick they are in terms of being able to deploy and take off. They're great, they're super fast. The problem is they're not, because of just how the mechanism works, they're not machined with a super tight clearance, so they wiggle. And when you're trying to hold a rig steady and your monitor's jiggling by any movement you make, because naturally you're gonna make movements. Nobody has extremely steady hands, especially when holding a heavy camera for a long time. First off, you get the actual movement on your monitor, but then you also get the noise. And again, when you're on set, you want as little unnecessary noise as possible. So what I ended up doing because I do, again, I still do like the system, it's just, it's not a machined super precise. I ended up getting some shower Teflon tape, or it's Teflon, but you use it for your shower heads, and I wrapped that around the male end, so that way now it sits tight with the female end. It doesn't move as much. Again, there's still a little bit of wiggle, you can hear it, which I personally don't like. I think Falcom makes a little bit tighter of a quick release system. So if I had known that, I would have bought more of those. I just don't like returning things, it's all a hassle. Anyway, I like to put that at the end of my Magic Arm. They actually do make a Magic Arm with these installed now, but me personally, I'd rather have the option to be able to remove it as opposed to it just being a part of the arm. You kind of get locked into an ecosystem. So we have that tight. I'm gonna throw on my handle next. You see, that's because it's Nato rail. This is a Nato rail small rig handle. It's like 30 bucks. Nice and easy, slide that on, center it. So for monitors, I'm using the Hollyland Pyro 7. Now, I actually have qualms with this monitor. For monitoring, the false color, the colors, the brightness, it's all great. You have to buy the hood separately, but it's a great system. It snaps on, just open, folds open. The wireless transmission's great, but I don't know if it's an update that needs to be had. This monitor only transmits in 24 or 60 frames, not 23.98 and or 59.98. Why is that a problem? So we were running a dual cam setup, and we were trying to use a live switcher with a Atomos Sumo 19. Is it Sumo? Yeah, Atomos Sumo 19. And the problem was, because my other Hollyland transmitter was able to transmit at 23.98, because that's what both our cameras were outputting, and this one was only able to output at 24, and there was no way for me to swap that. We actually couldn't have dual view on the monitor because most monitors won't let you do variable frame rates when simultaneously viewing. You can do it when you're switching back and forth, which is what we ended up doing, but it's just a little bit of a hassle, especially when the whole reason I bought the kit was for my director, who's my good friend Roth, to be able to see them simultaneously. So it defeated the purpose of me buying two at that rate. Like, we would have been better off just, you know, coming together at the end of the takes and playing back what he needed to see. So that was actually really annoying. I don't know if there's a firmware update, but also if you go to Hollyland's website, their user manual is not even on there anymore for this. Which is a problem. I will say that I think that's a big problem with a lot of these Chinese companies, is the customer support dies off pretty quickly. I've been hearing a lot of stuff for DJI as well, you know, especially back when they had the Ronin M and MX, like they were kind of like, well, figure it out yourself. So that's the only problem with buying these cheaper parts and cheaper things. Sometimes they have things that are absolutely amazing about them. Like I said, the monitor and the color quality of this is great. I do really like the false color on it. I barely ever have color issues. Like I pull it into Resolve, I'm like, oh, well, this isn't what I was looking at. Like very rarely do I have a situation like that. Just forewarning you about this if you do decide to go get this. So anyway, we're gonna put that on there, snap that on. Again, we still have a little bit of play in there. Don't really like that, but it is what it is. Next, I'm gonna move this right here. So you can see we're slowly building our cinema rig. I'm just gonna throw on the VMount just so it's not front heavy. I'm using the small rig, 99 watt hour. It's not the pro version, so if I put too many things on these D-tap ports, it will stop working. Or it'll drain. No, it'll stop working. Some of the stuff won't get powered. We're having actually power issues directly at camera from these V-mounts. Again, that's why you go to the big brands, go to Core or go to Anton Bauer, you won't have that issue. Anyway, so we're gonna snap that on. Locks in right there. You can see right here, there is an off switch. From the top, there is an on and off switch. We're gonna keep that off. Oh, something I did forget to do is we have to put a base plate on the bottom. So we're gonna do that real quick. Again, Manfrotto style plate, nothing too crazy. I like to just mount it as close to the middle as possible because I will be using a rail system for this. Usually I do use a DJI Ronin plate for it because it's way longer. I just don't know where it is. I'm not gonna go look for it right now. So now I got our monitor, V-mount, Cineback, handle, base plate. Like I said, I use these Mondoties so that way I can have seamless cable management. This perks in right here. And I actually run this back through here. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually attach one to the handle as well. Actually, let me move this Mondotie. So luckily we have a little baby quarter right here. So I'll just throw it on that side just to make it cleaner. Because again, how I have the monitor mounted situation, even if I want to move it, as long as I have some clearance, some tolerance, we're good. Or some slack rather in the cable. You can tell me that doesn't look nice. You know, nice and pretty, nice and best part is, if I loosen this, I can still move this around and the cable isn't getting it snagged or anything like that. It still sits nice and pretty. And that's why I like that I like to put my handle on backwards for that reason alone. All right, and then just straighten this again. All right, okay. So we're getting the base of our rig. Now for side handles, I actually don't like this handle that much. It's the cheapest one you can get. It's a Sirui. It's like 20 bucks. It's a Nato rail. It also comes with a 3/8. And it just slides on the side Nato rail here. All right, so we just have our side handle like that. Nice and easy. That allows us to pull this in tight. Nice and pretty. Hold it here if you need. Lots of options. So I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I finished this video, had a wonderful, beautiful outro. I've been so spoiled with my FX30 that I forgot there's a 30-minute record limit on my A9. So from here on out, I'm gonna be talking about the parts. Not gonna take it apart because I have to already do that again. But I will be intercutting between the overhead and this as I talk about the parts on the rig. So for my lens, I have a full set of Canon Fds. I'm trying to fill out some last little bits of it. I was gonna end up like dumping a bunch of money into it. I decided I'm just gonna rather spend that money on actual cinema glass because these do have their limitations. This one's a Canon Fd 35mm f2. I have a Metabones speed booster to 0.71 CINE style. That's EF to E mount. I've adapted all my Canon FDs to E. I did it myself. It is a lot. It took me actually 3 weeks to get this specific lens back together when I first had pulled it apart. before I got my EF mount in. Afterward, it's not so hard, but you do need to recalibrate these to infinity. So, and enough about the lenses. This is just so how I get a full frame look on my FX30, which I am more than happy with, especially with the extra stop of light you get from the speed booster. On the front end, we have my matte box. It came out, I think, in the past year, one of their newer matte boxes. It's actually really good quality. It snaps on and off pretty nicely if you want to just have the variable ND that comes inside of it. After that, we have our rail system, so that way I can mount my matte box. We have the Tilta LWS 15mm rod support. This is a drop-in plate, which is pretty nice. And underneath that, I have a Tilta Dovetail. You do need the Tilta one specifically. You can't just go get a small rig one. They're cheaper, but you can't, they don't fit. When it comes to things that are quick release or slide into place, for the most part, you do want to get them from the same company. Just because sometimes they'll do slight proprietary differences. Like, I'm sure if I tried to throw this on an RE Dovetail, although they're called RE style or RE Dovetails, they're not, you know, RE standard. It's RE style Dovetail. So you're not necessarily going to get the same dimensions and or fit. But, you know, I got this one for relatively cheap. This is, you know, it's honestly pretty hefty. This lives on my tripod. You know, I never really take this off because it is drop-in. So if I do need my lens support for my matte box, I'll put my lens support on the front of the rails. I'll put my follow focus on, and then from there, all I'll do is I'll take this and I'll drop it in like that and tighten it. And then from there, you can take the RE Dovetail, and depending on how your rig is balanced, if it's, you know, a little front heavy, back heavy, you can slide this forward and backward. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like it. On my rails, I have the Tilta Nucleus Nano 2. I mentioned this earlier. A lot of these Chinese companies tend to just not support their gear afterward. You know, they make really great affordable stuff, but they make great affordable stuff. So a lot of them are focused more so on mass production as opposed to client consistency, if that makes sense. So like there's the lens support in the Nano Nucleus 2 isn't there. You should be able to, you know, map out your lenses and save them, or have, you know, built-in profiles. You can't do that. Was on set having to use the follow focus system because our cinematographer didn't bring his, and you know, it was my first day seeing, so this is all I had. And you know, when you're pulling on a zoom lens, which we're using Ingenue 35 to 90mm lenses, and my focus marks were a 12-foot and a 14-foot, and that's where I was living all day, and that's where I have to nail my focus. Being only able to move a 1/16 of an inch and not being able to change that throw or change that tension kind of sucked. It still is a very good system. Let me kick this on real quick. You see it is strong enough to move this fairly heavy lens set. Honestly, I would prefer to support this lens. You can see it's sagging a little bit in the front, but it is just a little bit hard with this matte box. Ideally what I should do, and what I would suggest you do, especially if you're using vintage lenses, is park your matte box on your rails and get a cloth donut, so that way your lens can move, because a lot of these they physically move. The elements don't move inside the housing. The front of the lens moves forward as you back focus. You can probably see here. See, it pushes forward. And again, this motor is strong enough. Actually, let me bump up the power on this. We're at only 3. You see that rips that pretty quick. And like all you got to do to auto cal is hold it, and it'll fully rack for you. So like it's pretty awesome. I love it. For especially like if I just want to throw that wheel on anywhere on my rig, or even if I want to throw my control handle, also controls this lens. So if I swap out my side handle for this one, it's a little bit difficult to mount. I just don't think they were really, they definitely made this with the shoulder rig in mind, because it works perfectly on there, but trying to use it, mount it on a rig is a little bit wonky, just because it has RE rosette but it's only from the top. But yeah, that's the only other configuration of this I would use. The other one we had for the main cam, he likes small cameras. I like them a little bit bigger. He didn't have the Cineback, and he had, I think I have it down here. He had the small rig magic arm, and when I was using my shoulder rig for some stuff, when I wasn't on the easy rig, I would throw this on front because again, I could push this further out and he would take this one. So we just like small variations like that, but for the most part, the stuff was the same. But yeah, I love this rig. It does everything I need it to. Again, this gives me a full frame look with my speed booster. And just literally the stability from the Cineback and the modularity of it, along with the availability of the DTAP ports, it's just like, it's so good. I did want to say thank you to everyone who's been super supportive in the comments. I have read every single one of your comments. I hope you guys do know that. Move this out the way. Keep you pretty right here. You guys' stories are amazing. I love how excited some of you are about your future projects and future prospects even. You know, and I genuinely feel bad I can't give something to everyone. So I'm gonna try my best to impart any knowledge that I've been learning with you guys as I go. And I do want to also mark that everybody does have an equal chance in this. I am doing a lot of restyle. I'm not out here picking the best story or one that resonates with me the most, although I'd love to do that, but I do want to give everybody a fair shot. You know, and like I said in the comments, I will ship worldwide depending on, you know, region restrictions and whatnot, but you all do have a shot. And I really do appreciate, you know, as many people participating they are. It's honestly really awesome to see, and it's really awesome to see this many people have a love for art and story. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me as I built this thing out. I really appreciate it, you know. I am going to Japan and Korea for 10 days, so I'm not going to be around. So I am going to try to pump out a little bit of content before that, and then I'm going to disappear probably about a month. Not before mailing out and announcing the winner for the contest if they respond. So again, if you haven't already, turn on your notifications for comment responses, because that's how I will try to get a hold of you. I don't have any other way to. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I can't wait to talk to you guys more. And I hope you have a great morning, a great afternoon, and a great evening wherever you are. I really appreciate it. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great day.